Good evening. Call into session our regular school committee meeting of January 27th, 2010. Welcome, everybody. For roll call, Trish, everyone's present tonight except Dr. Quick was unable to make it this evening. Okay. Approval of items by consensus. Mrs. Benton.
Good evening, everyone. There are two items on the consent agenda. The minutes from the January 13th school committee meeting, regular session, and a request to accept a gift from the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Foundation grant for the West Intermediate School, a mini grant of $500, thanks to Ms. Robin Turner, who is an employee of Harvard Pilgrim and has a child at the West School.
Very lucky enough parents. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion for approval of the January 13th, 2010 regular session minutes and the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Foundation grant for the West Intermediate School. Dan? Okay. Mr. Marchese.
I'll give it a try. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular school committee meeting from January 13, 2010, and the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Foundation Spirit of 9/11 mini grant of $500 to the West Intermediate School.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Mr. Higgins. All those in favor? Unanimous, Trish? Oh, excuse me. Ms. O'Connell there'll be one abstention. She was not present at the meeting. Okay. All right. Our next item, student school committee. This is the evening. Kellen would be preparing a report, so she's not with us this evening. Our superintendent's report. Mrs. Benton.
I have 5 items on the agenda this evening under superintendent's report. The first is just to give you a heads up that we have 11 staff members that have announced their intention to retire at the end of this year. That information is confidential until the end of March, when they would like to make it public on their own. As you know, 2 weeks ago, there was a terrible disaster in Haiti, and the school system joined together to do a fundraiser to assist the children of Haiti, and I'm totally pleased and proud to announce that in one day, basically, the Wilmington school community collected $12,602 for World Vision, which is an organization in Haiti that's devoted to the orphans of Haiti. I just want to take a moment to publicly thank all the Wilmington school staff and children and parents and community members who answered the call. As I say all the time, it should not surprise anyone, because this community is such a giving community who always steps up to the plate. And I just wanted to acknowledge everyone for that. Interesting enough, I thought we had put this to bed and we're ready to write the check when I got an email yesterday from a parent who has a child in 5th grade and 7th grade, and said that she was congratulating the school system on using this as a teachable moment and getting their children involved. And her daughter happened to be taking art class. The art teacher in the building was doing lessons with clay, and so the daughter came home and said, wouldn't it be great if we could make some hearts, because it's close to Valentine's Day, and sell them and have it hearts for Haiti children. So I encouraged the parent to talk to the teacher and the principal about it. So we might have one more fundraiser before it's totally over. But I wanted to, again, thank the entire Wilmington community for their support.
And before you go on, I would like to thank Mrs. Benton, because this idea totally originated with Mrs. Benton. And when she had spoken to me about it, she was so excited, and it was one of those ideas that's brilliant in its simplicity, that everybody can be a part of, and as she's telling us, it goes on and on. And I really appreciate, on behalf of the school committee, I'm sure, we really appreciate the leadership role that she took without a moment's notice or hesitation. So thank you, Mrs. Benton.
Thank you. Thank you. We have I've included in the superintendent's report tonight an update from Dr. McGinn on the latest professional development activities. We have a lot going on. Teachers do a lot more than teach, and as you can see from the list, and as is our model in Wilmington, since we started Wilmington University 6 years ago, we encourage teachers to take on leadership roles. So Dr. McGinn has recruited some very talented staff members to lead professional development workshops this winter.
Could I just add, if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free. I just want to add that I noticed that we have some assistant principals also involved, and I think that's a level of administration you don't normally see doing workshops and things, and I think that's fantastic that they're doing that. Good, thank you.
As part of the continuing process in entering into a relationship with the Mass School Building Authority to hopefully build a new high school, we had to fill out projected enrollment figures and give the state information on birth rates and number of multi-dwelling houses in the town and permits, building permits. From that, the computer generated this report, which is what was sent into the MSBA last week. We have now, Mr. Ruggiero and I are preparing the next list of requirements, which includes building floor plans for all the schools and number of students in each of the schools, and projected out-of-district placement, projected future house developments in Wilmington. We will, once we get that to them, which we hope to do by the beginning of next week, within a week we will hear back from them about the next step in the process. So just want to keep you informed. We're moving forward and very excited to do that. And I think you'll be hearing more about it Monday evening when the town manager presents his budget. And lastly, I'd like you to recognize and invite Mr. Tracy up to the table. The high school has been preparing for the last year for the NEASC accreditation visit, which is going to be coming upon us in March. And I used to always say that the work of the accreditation team, to me, and I have been through both elementary and high school accreditation team visits, is not the work of when the team comes, but it's the work, the 2 years leading up to it. And I would like to personally commend the entire Wilmington High School staff for all of the hours that they put into this, chaired by Linda Peters and Michael Hickey, who went above and beyond under the brilliant leadership of Mr. Tracy. It's fun for me to follow this whole process because Mr. Tracy and I came to Wilmington at the same time, and I remember him coming to see me. We came August 15th, and I think it was the following week. He's in my office talking about his 5-year plan for the high school and what he envisioned. And I just truly enjoyed reading the NESC reports because I could think about all the things that he had talked about what he wanted to do. So if you could acknowledge Mr. Tracy, he'll talk a little bit about this.
Welcome.
Thank you. I, too, would like to thank the co-chairs, Linda Peters and Mike Hickey, and also our steering committee, who has met every Tuesday for the past 18 months for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it takes to get all of the organizational pieces put together without complaint. I mean, it's one of the things, if they can't show up to a meeting, they come back to me the next day and say, but I did this at home last night. So it's one of the things that people took extremely seriously. It was one of the things that we prepared for, I would say, about 4 years, from putting little pieces in place that we knew we needed from the previous 5-year report that happened to be filed my first year here, which helped us to actually develop our long-range plan. So the accreditation reports that you see before you, when you read through them, just remember that these were written over the past 18 months, so there'll be things in there that you may know as contradictory. They're there on purpose because they were written at a time and approved by the staff. We can't change them after that, but what happens when the team will come in, and I'm going to use the example of technology. We have upgraded and updated technology over the past 5 years. You have all been involved in that and in getting securing the funding and the resources for us to be able to add on and install things like digital projectors and smart boards and things like that. that when the committee comes, when that 15-member team comes, those are the things we want them to notice. Those are the things that we want to say, hey, we've really made positive progress from this time 18 months or 2 years ago to this time. We've had X thousands of dollars invested in the acquisition of technology, use of technology, the professional development related to technology. So there's a lot on the table that we hope to kind of have a spotlight on, based on the growth just in the short time we were working on our plan. Some of the information is very singular in nature. Some of the curriculum stuff is very singular in nature, and we talk about things like Curriculum Mapper, which are, again, efforts that were supported years ago by this committee to be able to help us to organize and make our planning, long-range planning for the classroom and for our courses more dynamic. So a lot of those things will come out once the team comes. I was notified yesterday by fax of the intended chair and co-chairs. One of them I am familiar with only through the local principals association, so he's not from this area but is a Massachusetts principal. The other one is a Connecticut principal. They will be the chair and the co-chair of the committee. I can't release their names yet because they still have to be accepted and make a connection back with us, which should happen over the next 2 days. And then the rest of the committee, the other 13 members of the committee, will be chosen over the next 3 weeks and put in place and updated. Some people will say, yes, I can do it, and 2 weeks later they'll be pulled off the committee because something came up. So that will be updated all the way up until the Friday before they come. The March 14th through the 17th will be a stressful time, but also exciting. It's one of the things where when you talk to the professionals in the building and the kids in the building, you have to just say, just do your thing. Just do what you do every day, because what you're doing is good stuff. What's happening in the classroom is good things. Our kids are well behaved and poised to be able to have this group of adults come in, and I think we will find that we will fare very well with the final report. We know we have deficiencies. They are outlined in that report. Our plan is to take the deficiencies that our teams have found and create some continuity with the findings of the committee that will come, so that our deficiencies will end up as the things that we work on in the final report that we get back from the committee. So the idea is that we know what we need to fix. We want them to see that and to verify that and say, yes, this is true, this needs to be done, and give us a report that says, over the next 5 years, we would like Wilmington to work on X, Y, and Z. So if all goes well, we will, that should flow nice and easy. As we've said all along, we're very prepared. The hotels are booked, the food is set. We've even made arrangements to get the team in early into the hotel. It's just one of those little things that if a team comes in and can't get into the hotel, then they're dragging their stuff around for the rest of the afternoon on Sunday. So we're trying to get all the little bits and pieces in place so that this team can walk in, do their job, verify our findings, and then help support the future growth of the high school. And it could be facilities, it could be curriculum, it could be instruction. There are many avenues that the committee will travel. I will leave them. I'm sorry I didn't get them earlier. They're just books on the accreditation, the 7 standards and how they're outlined just for each of you to have. They will interview. We sent out about 60 invitations today to parents to be on a committee, to be interviewed. We will have committees of teachers. We'll have each of the standards committees that will be interviewed. We'll have students that will be interviewed over the 4 days. Members of the school committee. We'll really showcase everything we have. Some of the questions that they will ask are very straightforward. Were you involved in, the approval of the mission statement for the high school? And those are the things that have happened over the past few years. So any questions that come up, we can verify with the committee. We can verify with the chair and the co-chair. So it's a pretty open, dynamic, and a pretty wide open process, so we don't have to worry about somebody cutting us out, and surprising us. I think, the things that we'll find that we need work on, and one of the bigger things will be facilities. That cannot be a surprise. Space, programs, growth. I mean, when they come in and and see that we have 130-plus member orchestra that we can't fit anywhere to rehearse, that's going to come up in the report. Those are the things that will come up. But we've already addressed that in the 7 standard reports. Outstanding effort by the teachers. I'm excited. Now that I'm getting closer to it, it's like, okay, here we go. It's like starting the first day of school. I'm not going to sleep for a few days before, but it will be over before you know it, and then we wait. The report will come out approximately 60 days after they leave. The draft report will come to me. I will be able to kind of have a little back and forth dialogue with the committee chairperson. If there's something we don't agree with or something we think that needs to be clarified in the report, we can do that. And then they'll give us a final report 30 to 45 days after that we will then be able to make public through the superintendent. So we're looking forward to it. It's an exciting time, and I think we'll be able to showcase a lot of growth over the past 5 years. If based on that 5-year plan that was put in place, based on the work that's been done by this committee, the work that's been done by the teachers and their professional development and their planning and their design of the curriculum and their curriculum renewal cycle work, all of that stuff has got to be highlighted as extremely positive for Wilmington High School. So we look forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Does anyone have any comments? Or this report was lengthy reading, but it was worth it. I would just like to mention, not to embarrass you, Mr. Tracy, but having gone through this in my own school system right before I retired, I have to say the 2 pages that were about the leadership of this school were so gratifying to see, because you come across as a true leader in this school system, and there's nothing negative about you. Your strengths are outlined here, and I know that you didn't write that. I don't know if you think you wrote your own. I was just thinking, people might think he wrote his own. No, I want the community to know. You did not write that. Your staff wrote that, and what a compliment that is, from us, especially, I should say, from a high school staff that sometimes sees the principal as the obstructionist in the building, and I was really gratified to see that. I thought, congratulations to you.
Point of clarification on that, those reports are all written by teachers. I have nothing to do with that. I don't sit on any committee. I don't clarify anything. The teacher committees and the steering committee work on them together, the kind of back and forth, and then we have 2 people that just sat and read it and put it all into one voice. So that's one of the nice things about it. It's a product of Wilmington High School, and I think that's what the team will find when they talk to the people in the building. When they come in, they say, well, people really do have an understanding of what's going on here, so we're excited.
And thank you so much to the staff, because it truly is a positive report, and you can tell how much work the staff puts into what's going on here, and it's terrific. Anyone have any? Okay, thank you for that. Could you stay there a bit, because we have 2 other items of business. Okay, thank you. Our next item is old business, and the first item is the approval of a 4th year of mathematics at the high school.
At the last school committee meeting, Principal Tracy recommended increasing the mathematics requirement from 15 credits to 20 credits for the class of 2014 and beyond. I support this recommendation and would recommend approval of it this evening.
Does anyone have any questions or comments about this item at this point? No? Then I'd entertain a motion that we approve the recommendation of Principal Tracy to increase the mathematics requirement at Wilmington High, commencing with the class of 2014 from 15 credits to 20 credits.
So moved.
Mr. Vail, okay. Second?
Second.
Mr. Marchese? All those in favor? Great, that one's done, thank you. Our next one is the approval of increasing the number of credits for graduation. Mrs. Benton?
Thank you. At the last school committee meeting, Principal Tracy explained that to meet graduation requirements, students in the classes of 2011, 12, and 13 must earn a total of 115 credits over 4 years and meet all state MCAS competency requirements. He's recommending, and I support, that the class, starting with the class of 2014 and beyond, that they must earn a total of 120 credits over 4 years and meet all state MCAS competency requirements. I recommend increasing the required credits for graduation to 120 credits, commencing with the class of 2014. I think this is follows through with the mission of the 5-year plan that Mr. Tracy had, and when I arrived as assistant superintendent, was increasing standards and going from good to great. And that's one thing I believe that this high school is on the road to. So
Thank you.
the higher the standards, I believe our students will step up to the plate and meet them.
That's great. Any questions or comments, Mrs. Duffy? Oh, yeah. No? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to increase the required credits for graduation to 120 credits commencing with the class of 2014. Mrs. Duffy.
Motion to approve of the increase the number of graduation credits to 120 commencing with the class of 2014.
Thank you. Do you have a second? Okay, Ms. O'Connell. All those in favor? Unanimous, Trish. Okay, and our next item for the high school is the approval of the high school program of studies. Mrs. Benton.
Mr. Tracy presented to you at the last meeting the Wilmington High School 2010-2011 Program of Studies for your approval with updates in red, and we have taken note of Mrs. Duffy had sent a couple of changes that we will incorporate in the final book, grammatical, and at the bottom change the dates of the book. I recommend, assuming there's no objections to the changes, I recommend that the school committee approve the 2010-2011 Wilmington High School Program of Studies as proposed.
Okay. Well, I'd entertain a motion that the school committee approve the 2010-2011 Wilmington High School Program of Studies as proposed. Do we have a motion? Mrs. Duffy.
Motion to approve of the high school program of studies for 2010-2011 as previously presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Ms. O'Connell. Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous. This was a good night to come out, Mr. Tracy. Mr. Vail.
Thank you. I just wanted to say how impressed I was by the whole program of studies and the fact that we are tightening the studies and the graduation requirements, and specifically putting some more emphasis on mathematics. I reviewed the whole program. I don't have any children in high school here, though they're getting a little older, and just was just amazed at page after page at what was being offered and how logical it all seemed, and the variety and the in-depthness of it and the way it all held together, and I thought it was very impressive. So I just wanted to go on record and say that and let that be known. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vail. All set? That's great. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Okay. And our last item of old business is an update on the FY 2011 budget. Mrs. Benton. Thank you.
Mrs. Kane, I just wanted to update the committee on where we stand with the superintendent's recommended FY 2011 budget. I have, again, met with the town manager, and we have agreed to an increase of 2.33% increase in the budget over fiscal 2010. This amounts to a $700,000 increase, which roughly breaks down to 1.1% in salary increase and the 6.69% non-salary increase, which is basically the cost of special ed, and some increases in out-of-district placements. You will hear from the town manager on Monday night of a recommended budget for the town that includes the school department's request of 2.33%. You will also hear from the town manager in his budget, and I totally concur with this, although the governor did release a budget today, which level funds Chapter 70 money. A lot of the provisions for revenue that the governor has proposed, we are not quite sure are going to be funded, so therefore this budget is based on a 10% reduction in Chapter 70 funds. So I'm really, really grateful and pleased with that the town manager was able to get to this point, because I just, for your sake and the community at large's sake, like to remind everyone that this recommended budget allows us to increase staff by 3.5. That includes opening a new special ed classroom at the primary level, so a teacher and an aide, a network manager to support our OIT staff, and also a 0.5 position to do at the middle school for some teaming of special ed and regular ed. It also allows us to maintain the very advantageous, I believe, class sizes that the school committee in Wilmington has always been an advocate for and supported. And having worked in 3 other systems, I will keep repeating this. Wilmington children are very lucky that the school committee has been an advocate for the small class sizes, and it pays off. We will be expanding our life skills program at the high school, continuing with the applied behavior specialists, our very successful full-day kindergarten program, early intervention, completion of our 5-year strategic plan, and the beginning of writing our new plan, the year 2 of the elementary technology specialists. Lisa Ippolito is a teacher on leave from the classroom, working with all the elementary school teachers to help them think of ways to incorporate technology into their teaching. Today ran an incredible workshop. Quite a few of us were over at the West in the computer lab learning the Renzulli software. That was a grant that Dr. McGinn was successful in getting the Danvers Bank to support. And this is a program for all 4th grade students in town, and hopefully we will be able to introduce it to the 5th graders next year, but all 4th grade teachers were trained today. And this, I am so excited. It's taken me 6 years to get to this place, but we finally are able to bring to Wilmington a program that will assist our gifted and talented elementary students who sometimes their needs are not always met in the classroom because of their interests. And this program will allow children at home and in school to explore topics of interest. They will be able to take virtual field trips. They will be able to do independent projects. And why I love this program is that it is objective. No one chooses who's gifted and talented. The inventory tests are all online that the student takes and has to go through. So there will be some surprises, because there will be children who have a passion for something that none of us know about, and it will come through on the software, and they can be able to work on it independently. So I'm very, very excited about this program. And lastly, the budget will be able to continue to support our strong and valuable professional development program. This budget is lean in many ways because if you look at our non-salary line items, they are level funded. We have not asked for increases, and in some places we've had to make cuts. But I believe in these economic times that it's a fair and actually very generous budget for the schools, and I'm very excited for that. I want to publicly again thank Town Manager Mike Kyra and his senior management staff for their consistent communication, collaboration, and support of the Wilmington Public Schools. Particular thanks to Mr. Paul Ruggiero, who keeps having to crank the numbers, and every time I go back and say we have to cut 2,000 here, he does magic and finds ways to do it without hurting programs. This budget is about children. I had put in the budget message way back in December that I believe that this budget is more than numbers. It's a statement about what we believe about the future of the Wilmington children's education, what it should look like. And your approval, hopefully, at February 10th meeting of this budget is telling this community that this is your investment in their children. So I'm pleased to lead the charge. So look forward to hearing the town manager's presentation on the 1st, and we will advertise for a budget hearing for the public on the 10th.
Okay, Mr. Marchese?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Benton and to Mr. Ruggiero, because I know, Mr. Ruggiero, you're the backbone who does all this work. And I remember the first budget you gave us, it was 4.6 and change, and we'd asked you to look back, and then you cut that increase almost in half, and now I believe you've even cut even further from the last time. So I just want to thank you for your thoughtfulness and consideration and going through this again, and also making sure all the services are maintained, and we're not cutting anything in the schools. For this modest increase, it's truly like what you said, this is an investment in the future of Wilmington. So it's not an operating expense per se, this is an investment in the future. So it's something that we really should think hard and long about, and this is very, very valuable to the town. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vail?
Can you just remind me, and I've forgotten, in terms of total personnel numbers, I know that there's some additions, but there's also some subtractions because of retirements. Is the net difference a total increase of 3.5, or what's the net?
I'm going to, hopefully Mr. Ruggiero has the backup because I didn't bring it with me. I know that we've made some reductions due to declining enrollment.
Yeah, I did not bring the head count is
I
the same
remember,
as.
it was 7.
A reduction of 7.
Reduction of 7
Increase of
and
3.5.
an increase of 3.5, so really it's a net reduction of 3.5.
From the start of the school year.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, thanks, I'm trying to think ahead to town
Yeah.
meeting.
No, I remember because it was a double the same number, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions or comments? All set, thank you. Now we're on to new business, and this is a request to use a carry-forward account for the high school security cameras. Mrs. Benton.
As you recall, back in the fall, we had a second unfortunate incident at the high school around some improper writing on a wall. And at that time, I had told the committee that I was going to be coming back with a recommendation. And we've done a lot of research. This recommendation, and we do not expect it to be voted tonight. This will be on the February 11th agenda for vote, is a recommendation to purchase some security cameras to be installed outside the 3 student bathrooms at the high school to deter any unwanted bad behavior in the bathrooms. Mr. Tracy and Mr. Ellis have worked together on this, and it's my understanding this ended up being a Wilmington community. Isn't this company, it happens to be in Wilmington when we went out to bid, and this is their recommendation. We'd like to fund it with the carry-forward funds. Also, I will say that the police department has also been involved with this whole process. And Detective Tom Miller, who has a this is one of his specialties, has volunteered to assist once this has been approved with the installation.
Does anyone have any questions about it?
Excuse me.
Mr. Higgins?
Who's going to have access to the IP network that's going to maintain the images for a month? Who has access to that?
Could you recognize Mr. Tracy?
Oh, Mr. Tracy, sure. Welcome back.
Thank you. The system that we talked to the company about was very isolated, where it would be in the main office and the access would be Neil Ellis and myself. In reality, I would treat it similar to the way we treat the bus cameras. There are only specific people that can look at it, and that's it. Because in the big scheme of things, there's not a lot of people you need to have involved in checking out some of the video, but it's a storage system that we would keep separate on a separate server from anything else, and it's an isolated system that works. The cameras are connected to the storage system and the monitors that we would have in the main office, and that's it. So we have instant visual, but we also have stored visual.
Any other questions?
Good answer.
So
Just wanted the clarification for everyone, so thank you.
good question. And if anyone has more questions between now and the next meeting,
Email you.
please email.
Great. Great, thank you, Mr. Tracy. Okay, thank you. And our last item of new business, financial update. on FY 2010 budget. Mrs. Benton?
You have before you this evening a financial report for the FY 2010 budget prepared by Mr. Ruggiero. And please note, I'm sure you noticed the memo on the front of the page. We've been fortunate to receive ARRA funding from the federal government to supplement the budget, and those budget transfers have not happened yet. Paul has to go through a very rigid process in reporting every month how funds are spent, what percent of the staff members are we charging to that grant. So you'll see shifts in this report at the next time, over the next few months. But we'll call him Mr. Ruggiero.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Thank you. As Superintendent Benton mentioned, we do have that grant. The funds have not been released yet. They're due to be released at the end of March, and at that time, we'll be shifting some funds around. The funds, we will get the funds. It's just a matter of when we get them. And we're able to charge expenditures retroactively to the beginning of the fiscal year. So all school districts are in the same boat that receive these funds. They just haven't been released yet. So this report and the information you see on it will shift as when those funds become available. As far as where we are as of January 15th, as you know, our total appropriation for FY10 was $30 million. We expended $12,800,000 and encumbered $16,600,000, leaving us with an unexpended balance as of January 15th of about $618,000. The report shows items where we have overexpended certain line items, and anything over $1,000, I've given you a brief explanation. Also in here, I've noted a few areas where some money will be moved to that stimulus grant once the funds are available. I've also asked in here that if I can adjust lane changes. As you know, teachers receive lane changes that are incorporated in the budget because we don't know, and as they come in, we like to move some money around to cover some of the lane changes in various line items. In addition to that, we budget a circuit breaker offset, and as you're aware, with the cuts last year, we had a reimbursement rate of, we had projected about 70%, which had been about 72% historically. The actual circuit breaker reimbursement will be at 40%, which is it'll be an impact to the bottom line, and we've identified that at about $400,000. But in the budget, we have the budgeted circuit breaker offset that I'd like to allocate to the full-day tuition line, as we've done in the past. It gives you a better feel for, it just zeroes out the offset and then adjusts the full-day tuition line.
And we need a vote for that. I just want to explain the lane change piece. Anybody that doesn't understand that, that's if throughout the year teachers are getting credits, more degrees, and that shifts them on the pay scale. And we cannot, I mean, that can happen any time during the year. So that's what this is for.
And they get the lane change then and don't have to wait till the following, some school systems have to wait till the following September.
Right, not here.
Not here, oh, okay.
Not,
Yeah.
We have a notification date? It just, as it comes in, we don't have notification dates? Deadlines? I mean, that's what you're talking about, Peggy, right? By October or so, you need to notify, and that's the cutoff, and
You have to wait.
you have to wait till the next
yeah.
year.
Wow, that's good. So far, if we've got the money, we've been able to do it.
Something to think about.
That's very good. Okay, and the circuit breaker money. Normally, we'd wait till the next, is this a problem for you? Or
No problem.
does anyone have any questions on this, Mr. Marchese?
The AARA grant, just to be clear, that was replacement of the loss of the Chapter 70 fund from the FY10 budget from the state, correct? That's what they supplemented, the reduction of that with the AR. So it's not really necessarily extra money that we received is actually replacing the loss of the Chapter 70 funds.
Yeah, those funds actually bring our net school spending in line with our foundation budget. It's different than what happened in 2000 in FY '09, where the state actually cut Chapter 70 money but backfilled it with stimulus money. This is, in not all school districts receive something in FY '09. In FY '10, only school districts that their net school spending and foundation budget were not aligned, federal money was made available to bring them in line. So that's what that stimulus grant is for.
And how much more difficult has it made your life in reporting?
That one, not yet, because we haven't got the funds. Once we do, then.
But it will.
But, yeah, it's, for all the federal grants, we have to report quarterly on all expenditures made, including who was paid out of the grant, teacher, consultant, and so forth, as well as any company that we pay out of the grant, where they're located and so forth. So it's a pretty detailed reporting requirement quarterly.
Okay.
It's amazing, you have to, I think there has to be the checks and balances, but you wonder who really reads all those reports.
Thinking the same thing.
I could tell.
Who's reading those reports?
Yeah.
What are they doing with the information?
A big box in a big room.
That's right.
All right.
Your tax dollars.
Sorry, Paul.
Thank you. So we will vote on that at our next meeting. The February 10th meeting. All right, delegations. Thank you. Board members' questions and comments. Mrs. Duffy.
No, I was able to attend a couple of days of the production at the Wilmington High School by the Cats Theater Performing Group, and it was wonderful. Very well done. Mr. Luciano and his team really put together a wonderful show, and the kids worked hard, and it came off splendidly. The other thing, they have a Marchapella coming up at the middle school on March 12th, which is a combination of multiple a cappella groups singing. A couple of graduates who are in college now have small groups that are going to come, and Ball and Chain will also be there, so get your tickets in advance because it's going to be very popular. Another thing is looking forward to the NEASC, the accreditation process. I was involved in the last one, and at that time they were just getting around to these the new standards and the new format that they use. So it was quite challenging then because we weren't as familiar with it, and most districts weren't at that time. This seems to have streamlined over time. It looks really nice, so I'm looking forward to that. I know that Wilmington will shine, and they'll notice the building needs that will support all of our efforts and everything we're looking for, and certainly our staffing and our programs will come through as how much they have grown, and how challenging they can be, and how we've certainly raised the expectations for our students in all areas. And they have stepped up to the challenge as well, because the numbers, our graduation rate is up. I mean, you can just look across the board at the wonderful changes that have occurred over time and continue to occur in Wilmington. And like Mr. Vail said, all the things that they're offered, our offerings have certainly increased and expanded across curriculum as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I think the budget process is always challenging. We've had a lot of meetings around that, so I'm pleased to see that coming to somewhat of a close, and looking forward to hearing the town manager's presentation, so everybody gets a clear understanding that we're all together on this, and that we're going to do what's in the best interest of the students so they can keep learning. So that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Higgins.
Yeah, a couple things. First, just to go off of what Mrs. Duffy said about NEAS and C, my favorite time of year is when we see that list of where all the graduating seniors are going to college. That's my favorite time of year. I mean, you just show them that over the past 5 years. You know, that speaks volumes of the entire district. I mean, just the level that these kids are getting into is just, it's fantastic. The only other thing I have to talk about tonight is the vote that we had last week. I usually give an impassioned plea before every vote, and last meeting I didn't do it, and people turned out in droves, so I won't talk about it anymore. Maybe I jinxed it. What I would like to say, though, is that whatever ignited your passion to get out and vote, even though it was snowing and piling up when it was supposed to be a clear day, please try to find that passion with every election that comes up, because when the majority speaks, we get to have what we want, or what we think we want, at least. You know, you let your voice be heard, and you tell people what's going to happen. You know, whether you agree or disagree with the way the election turned out last week, it had national consequences. It had immediate national consequences. Little state of Massachusetts had people in California shaking. People were coming from Colorado to come help. I mean, people were just coming from all over the country to hold signs for both sides. And I thought it was great. I was walking on air for a couple of days just because of the voter turnout and just the passion that I saw in people and heard in their voices and showing up to the polls to vote. And I think it's the most patriotic thing you can do is get out and cast your ballot. So thank you, and again, please find that passion to do it again.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Mr. Marchese?
First, I just want to reiterate my point earlier. I want to thank Mrs. Benton and Mr. Ruggiero for their work on the budget. So you've done a lot so far, and again, I thank you very much for that work. In terms of the accreditation process, I had the opportunity last week to visit both the high school and the middle school. So I visited the high school first and then went to middle school because I didn't want to get the press going the other way. No offense, Mr. Tracy. Both facilities are well maintained. They're both very clean, but I understand Mr. Tracy's point about the facilities and what needs to happen here at the high school. I saw it firsthand. I didn't go to Wilmington High School, so I didn't get to actually experience it, but I walked the halls with Mr. Tracy, and I saw some of the things that really need to be changed and updated in the school. So I hear your pain and I understand it. So I agree with you on that we need something to be done quickly. In regards to the middle school, what a phenomenal facility. Absolutely phenomenal. I was impressed. Mrs. McMinnon gave me a great tour, and I actually love the building. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm very happy with that building. In terms of what happened last week, I can't say more than what Mr. Higgins just said. But what I can say is that tonight at 9 o'clock, regardless of your politics, watch the President State of the Union address tonight, regardless of what side of the fence you are on. It's an important event. Everyone's going to be watching it, so turn on your TV at 9 o'clock and please do watch it. And as always, please, everyone stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marchese. Ms. O'Connell?
Just makes my job so much easier when that whole side goes first. So I don't want to be redundant, but I think that the list, the agenda that I see every time we have a meeting just really speaks to the positive level of activities and just the culture and enthusiasm that just is in the school system and in the community as a whole. I do want to thank you, Superintendent Benton, for that Haiti fundraiser. I didn't have an opportunity to send you a note on that, but I know that that was a collective effort among the entire faculty and staff. And what you said, if everyone put a dollar, what it would be, it's pretty obvious that most people probably didn't put a dollar, they even put more. So certainly I know in tough economic times, the fact that people are able to give, I think just speaks to the spirit of the town. And the NEASC, I think that, everyone else in the committee did a great job in speaking about that. And to your point, Mr. Tracy, you said that, we don't have proper seating. We have it throughout the entire system because it's clear that it took an orchestra of people, whether it's students, staff, parents, whatever, to come together to create this document. And it's amazing, the history of how goes back to early period years all the way through. And, this isn't about me, but I did, in fact, attend school K through 12 through Wilmington, and I can tell you that not much of the facilities have changed, but it's what goes on in between the walls that we have to work with that has changed so much and has been so dynamic, so virtual, so technology-driven, and just the passion and enthusiasm from the leadership team on to the students and with the faculty and staff just really speaks to the fact that people are happy to be here, whether you're a teacher, you're a student, and granted, there's always going to be some triumphs and tribulations all the way through, but just what's happened in 5 years, what's happened in 20 years, and even though the footprint of the school has stayed the same, this is so progressive and so dynamic, and it just shows that regardless of that, you are maximizing every resource, every financial dollar, every community involvement, every fundraising effort, on a, state level, on a national level, and on a global level. And I think that just shows that a very small school in a very small community can do really big things. So I think, I don't want to take away from the good to great, but I think we're much closer to great now than we are to good. So I think that's fantastic, and I do appreciate all the effort that's been done on the budget. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connell. Mr. Vail.
Well, if Mrs. O'Connell thought her job was easy, then, I have absolutely no job to do. Actually, I'll just echo all the great remarks that everyone has made, and I have nothing else to add. So thank you for everyone and all the staff and the administration as well for doing such a great job.
Good thing I found something a little different, because I ditto. I don't know how many people actually pay attention to the annual report that we get, 'cause it's quite a little booklet, but I did want to mention that this annual report from the school system was absolutely terrific. We've tonight really focused on the high school, and people are going to get to know more about the high school as we go through the process of reaccreditation. But if anyone wants to know what's really happening in each of the schools, who's retired during the year or during this past year, each department, each school, this is an excellent document to have. So I recommend that people take the opportunity to read this when they get the annual report, because I think we can't do much better. It's really well put together. I want to thank Mrs. Benton and her staff for that. Okay. No other reports at this time, I don't think. Correspondence, no. Future meeting dates and agenda items. February, we have a couple of things. Oh, thank you. Yeah. February 1st, we'll put down there, is for the town manager. The town manager's meeting at 7 o'clock at the town hall. Then February 10th, we'll have our regular school committee meeting, and we'll also have our budget hearing. We have a public budget hearing at the beginning of the meeting. Then we come up to February vacation, and the week after, we're actually not going to have a meeting, that second meeting, because we'll already have done 2 meetings in February. So we won't be having that meeting. And so we come to March 2nd, which will be our Finance Committee meeting. So that's our first one in March. And then on March 10th will be our regular school committee meeting. Oh, I'm going too fast for, are you all right? Oh, okay. I'm like whizzing through here. Sorry.
And just remind them to keep the March 14th, the Sunday, for the accreditation reception. They'll be
Okay.
getting invitations.
All right, and then Sunday, March 14th for the reception. Keep that open.
Meeting?
March 10th, regular meeting.
March 10th, yeah. Okay. March 10th, okay.
Okay, any other? All right. Seeing no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Ms. O'Connor, okay. Second, Mrs. Duffy? All those in favor? Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.